everyone, welcome back. I'm Katie, and today I'm going to be talking about all of the books that I read in December. So I read a grand total of 20 books in December, and that's not including the Archie comic books and the other comic books that I read. I probably read 5 to 10 of those, so it was a big reading month. Now, there's only one graphic novel that I added into my wrap-up. I don't talk about my Archie comics because they're just a relaxing read for me, and I don't rate them on Goodreads. They're just fun and relaxing. All right, so I want to talk about my Christmas reads first because if you missed it during the month of December, I did a gift wrapped TBR where I unwrapped between 2 and 3 books every week of the month, and so we'll talk about those first. So it actually went better than I thought it would. I finished every single book on this list. I did, though, DNF 4 of them out of 10. So I read 6 out of 10, and I DNF'd the other 4. So let's talk about those first. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is The Christmas Bookshop by Jenny Colgan. That was actually one of the first ones I unwrapped, and I ended up DNFing it and unhauling it from my bookshelf. So it's gone. And I basically DNF'd it because of a language, and there was a lot of swearing in God's name, and there was just a lot of swearing, like, especially for a Christmas book, like, not in general, really, like, there was a lot. So I will not be picking up another one of her books in the future, unfortunately. So, oh well, at least I found out, and I think I didn't spend much on it, if anything. No, actually, I think I got that one from somebody, but it's unhauled and away, so. All right, so the next one that I have on my list, I forgot I was going to talk about the DNFs I said. I have 3 more that I DNF'd, and they were all secular fiction. So I had a feeling that a lot of these were probably going to have swearing, or, well, there's one reason why I DNF'd the one. This one, One Day in December by Josie Silver, I DNF'd. I thought I was going to like it. And now I can't remember why. I think it was because of language in her book. Yeah, it was. There was quite a few using God's name in vain, like right in the beginning. And so I was like, nope, I am not in the mood for this. So DNF that one, and that one is actually going in my unhaul pile. So this is A Christmas in Vermont by Anita Hughes, and I DNF'd this one. I should have read the back because there was this weird phrasing that says, it's the magic of synchronicity. And I'm like, what is that? I've never heard of it. So I had to look it up, and it kind of sounded like that, like when people think like, oh, if you put out good vibes will come back to you type of feel. And so I was like, I don't know. Wasn't for me. That's okay. All right. And then the last one I DNF'd was Christmas Joy by Nancy Nagel. And this one, oh boy. I think this is the one that actually is a Hallmark movie, and I can definitely see that. But it's one of those Hallmark movies because there's some that I really love, and then there's some that are so boring I didn't really want to watch it in the first place. And unfortunately, that's the way the book felt. There was really nothing happening in the storyline. I think I went through almost 2 hours of the audiobook, and I was like, I'm so bored. I just couldn't do it. So unfortunately, this is going to go off my shelves as well. So those are the books I DNF'd, and they're all going to leave the house. All right, so on to the good stuff now. All right, so let's talk about the rest of the Christmas books that I got. This one was not one of my unwrapped books, and this is The Christmas Angel Project by Melody Carlson. This is actually gifted to me by a secret sister, so thank you. And I'm sad to say, I just don't think this was the right year to read it, or the right time, because, you know, the snowstorm, and I'm just kind of feeling kind of bleh most of the winter, you know, but I read it around a time where this is like Melody Carlson's one of her most depressing Christmas books I've ever read. And I was like, this is so depressing, so sad. So definitely, I mean, if you want a moving kind of sad book. This is definitely it. It just wasn't for me at the moment, so unfortunately I only gave it between 2 and 2.5 stars. But if I read it at a different time in my life, I think I probably would have enjoyed it. Maybe not around Christmas time. So, but this one is about a group of book club friends, and one of their members passes away, and she is quite young. I think she was in her 40s, I think, and they're in shock pretty much. And so they find, when they get to their next book club meeting, they're unsure. They're like, should we just end the book club, because she was basically like the glue to their book club. And they end up getting a gift, a last Christmas gift from her, and they unwrap it and they find angels and for each one of them. And then they decide to go and create an angel project to help the community. Now that part I did love, but just there are so many sad moments in this book that I think it was just too sad for me at the moment, even though I do love a good sob story. But this one was just some parts were just heartbreaking. I'm like, I just don't think I'm in the mood for this right now. So unfortunately it was 2 stars. I will give it a second chance in the future, but right now it definitely wasn't for me at this moment. All right, and then the next, is this the last? No, I have a couple more Melody Carlson books. I read a lot of hers. The next book that I have to talk about is A Christmas in the Alps by Melody Carlson. And this is another unwrapped book that I unwrapped. And this one I ended up giving 3, maybe 3.5 stars. And this one was pretty good. It just wasn't like on the higher end of her books that I have read, but it was cute. So it's about this girl, Simone, and she finds out that her aunt? No, great-grandmother. Her great-grandmother ended up leaving some kind of supposed treasure to her in France. So her friend just tells her, go, just sell your house, because your house is pretty much kind of crappy, and just go to France. You'll have the funds once you sell your place, and just go have fun. And so she goes to France and tries to find this supposed treasure, and ends up discovering some family along the way, and maybe a new romance too. So it was really cute. I did enjoy it. Just wasn't on the higher end of the scale for Melody Carlson's book, but I did still really enjoy it. All right, next book that was an unwrapped book. These aren't in the row that I unwrapped them. Probably should have done that, so I'm sorry. But the next one that I have is Fortress of Snow by Melanie Dickerson. You know how much, or if you're new here, I love Melanie Dickerson so much. She's one of my favorite authors. I love chatting with her on Instagram, and she's just the sweetest, nicest, like one of the most nicest authors I've ever met. Well, not personally met, but chatted with and stuff. So this is her newest release in the Derek Cocktail series, and this is my favorite so far. I gave it 4.5 stars, and it was cute. I love her, even if they're not fairy tales, I don't think this book series is necessarily fairy tale, but it just has that fairy tale feel. It's so cute. So I can never remember her name, Maiselina or Maisie, and her father ends up passing away. It's right in the beginning of the book, and she and her, it's like a half-brother comes to the castle and pretty much tells her, I'm going to marry you off to the first person that I can find to get rid of you. And the first person that he does find, he's like a 60-year-old man, and she wants nothing to do with that. I don't want to marry a man who's my father's age. I wouldn't either. So she ends up running away with one of the, I don't know if he's a stable boy or a guard, just to protect her on her travels, to visit her brother, who's serving as a guardsman or a knight. And so when he finds out, he writes a letter to her brother saying, I'm pretty much going to disown her. I want nothing to do with her, because she's no longer innocent, because she was alone with a guy while she was on her travels. And even though nothing happened, but he can't prove that, so he can't get a marriage for her. So she's pretty much desolate and alone. And so she ends up finding a guy who pretty much wants to protect her from day one. And so she ends up traveling with her brother to a different city where he's working, and she ends up staying in this little inn, and she's pretty much left alone. Her other brother, I thought he would be a nice brother, but he's not very nice. And so unfortunately he doesn't spend much time with her, but this nice guardsman does keep an eye out on her whenever he can. And it's just really nice. And there's also like this intrigue as well, like later on in the book, that, you know, a little bit of action popping up. It's really good. I really did enjoy it. Really no trigger warnings in here other than a death of a parent, but that happens like right in the beginning. So, but it's really good. I really enjoy her books and her covers. Let me tell you, Melanie Dickerson can do covers, or whoever does the artwork. Like all the covers are top notch in my book. They're beautiful. All right, let's see. I have a couple more Christmas books. My pile's falling over. All right, so actually I put those up there, just so I know to put them away later. Okay, so the next couple of Christmas books were from the library, which I have to get the other one downstairs because my mom's actually reading all three of these, or is going to. So the first one is The Christmas Cat by Melody Carlson. I gave this one 5 stars. It was just cute, sweet, about a guy whose, I can't remember it, grandmother again, right? Yes, grandmother. His grandmother passes away and he's deathly allergic to her cats. And in her will, she says, I want you to place these cats in different homes around the neighborhood, but there's some rules. And I don't remember all the rules, but I know they've had to have lived in their house for at least 2 years, I think. They have to be from the actual neighborhood where she lives. And they also have to have like a stable family environment in the house. So it's just sweet and funny, and I just really enjoyed it. The romance wasn't my favorite, but just like the cute friendships that he meets along the way and the cats, and it's just really sweet. I really did enjoy it. So that one definitely was a 5-star for me. All right. Next up was The Christmas Bus by Melody Carlson. This one, I have to look at my ratings. I forgot. This one was 3 stars. So again, sorry about the glare, but this one was just, it was pretty good, but it just wasn't a favorite of mine. But I did like, there was like a crotchety old lady in this book, and I don't know, just characters like that just, you know, crack me up. And so this one did have one, which I did enjoy. But this is about a couple of people, a pastor and his wife, who own a Christmas inn, and they end up not having their family home for Christmas, so they open up the inn during Christmas time when it's usually closed to help people who don't have a home for Christmas or just want to get away from the Christmas rush. And it's really cute, it's really sweet. And then there's like a decorative bus that pops up from nowhere, and you know, at first everybody in the town hates that a colorful bus is in the area, but it's really cute, it's really fun. It definitely brings up a lot of the story of Jesus being born. So, because there's like a pregnant lady during around Christmas time too. So that's really cute. All right. The next and last Christmas book that I read was Terri Blackstock's Catching Christmas, which was our book club pick for this month. And I really did enjoy this one. I gave this one, was it 4 stars? I lost it. Yeah, 4 stars. So I really did enjoy this one. There is this cabbie driver. I think I did a whole review on this, so I'll link it down below. But it's about this cab driver who basically kind of takes care of this old lady who keeps calling him and asking for him for rides. So it's really cute. It definitely has its sweet moments and also sad moments as well. So really cute. I did enjoy this one. All right, now to the rest of the books, which there's a lot. So here we go. Okay, so I'm not going to go by star rating this time, but because I have a lot of books to talk about, but that's okay. We'll just go in the order that I read them. All right, so let's see. I almost lost my reading journal. The first one that I read, which will be a favorite of the year next year, because my year of reading kind of ended like halfway through December because I did my favorites. I should have waited. I'd probably do that next year and just wait until the end of the month, but Julie Klassen's new release, The Sisters of Seaview. Wow. I've done a whole review on this. I'll link it down below, but as I've said, if you love Little Women and Jane Austen novels, pick this up, okay? Because, like, this is even better than Jane Austen. Did I say that? Wow, did I love this book so much. I cannot wait till the sequel comes out. I don't know when it's coming out, but I need it immediately. So this is about sisters who their father passes away. A lot of people passing away in books this Christmas. I apologize for that. Not my fault. Okay, so this one, their father passes away and they end up pretty much destitute. They don't have a lot of money. And so the sisters end up deciding, well, you're either going to have to go and get a job as a governess, because they were wealthy at one point, but they're not anymore. So you're going to have to get a job as a governess or a seamstress or something, or we're going to go ahead and make our home by the sea into a summer house. And I loved it. So there's this girl who was my favorite character in the book, and she wants nothing to do with the inn because she has a cleft lip. And back then I didn't even know, but a lot of people thought it a curse. Like if you saw a person with a cleft lip, your baby would have a cleft lip if you were pregnant at the time you saw that person. So she is basically seen as a curse around the area. And so she's like, I don't want to work in the inn. I don't want people seeing me like this. So she ends up, or her sister ends up putting an ad in the paper saying, my sister will read to like an older person or an invalid if they aren't able to read. So somebody ends up requesting that she reads to them, and she thinks it's an older man, but it ends up being a younger man. And just their love story is so cute. Just the sister dynamic in this book was one of my favorites ever, and I love that. It definitely did feel like Little Woman. Like, I haven't read Little Woman yet, but I've seen the movies, but it definitely felt like a Little Woman feel. The characters kind of reminded me of Jo, Beth, and Amy, and they were so cute. And Meg, each character actually kind of reminded me of each of the March sisters. So really cute. Definitely pick this up. I loved it. All right, the next book that I read was Boo Hiss by Renee Gutteridge. This is the third and final book. There is a Christmas novella after, but this is the third and final book in the Boo trilogy, and I gave this one 4.5 or 5 stars. I can't remember, but I loved this one. It was really good. Still not as great as the first one. First one was still my favorite, but I did love Boo Hiss. Love the antics of the townspeople. And in this one, we see, I think he works at the bookstore, but he owns a snake, and it's a 2-headed snake, and it just disappears. And so we have town folk kind of really terrified that they're going to find a snake in their house, or just anything. And it's really funny. I definitely recommend the audiobook for these. The narrator, he does a great job with all the characters. Loved it. You gotta check out this series if you haven't read it yet. All right, let's see. Oops. Next up. I'll just leave my physical books up here. All right, next one, which going with that one, was Boo Humbug, which is the kind of Christmas novella, and I gave this one 3 stars. It was okay, but I honestly feel like the series would have just been great with just the trilogy. I think I didn't like it as much because the narrator changed. I don't know why they couldn't get the original narrator, but it was a woman instead of a man, and for some reason, I was just like, I miss the old narrator. Like, he did a great job with these books. And so for that reason, it kind of did go down a little bit in star rating. But it was still cute. It was about a Christmas play, trying to put on a Christmas play. And there's like kind of like this love triangle a little bit between like these older people. And so it was kind of cute. Like, it was just a sideline story to the book. But it was cute. I honestly would love if there was more in the original trilogy. Like, if it was like 5 or 6 books, I'd love to read more of those townspeople. It was really cute. All right, the next book that I read was an author copy that she sent me, an ebook, and that is The White Lilac by Christina Shaw. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It was great. So it's kind of like a dystopian. Yeah, I would say dystopian, because I don't think it takes place on Earth, but like it kind of, but it kind of has an Earth feel to it. But it's about this girl who she is in a race. She's been training her whole life to race to get in the water, and they have a race to see who can go the fastest, who can hold their breath the longest. They've been trained their whole lives to basically every, I don't know how many years, but there are these strange fish and creatures that like set off this toxic venom into the air, and it ends up creating this illness to people on the planet. And so in order to get rid of that, they need a vaccine. And so they train to be able to get past those fish and get into the nest, because they need the eggs of those creatures to get the antidote. And so this girl whose sister was supposed to be in the race, he ends up dying. Another character dying. What's up with the books this month? But she ends up, the book just starts like after she passes away. So her sister ends up taking over, and she ends up, well, I can say, because I mean, you can tell, I mean, she's gonna win the race, but she ends up winning the race. But then like there's a lot of intrigue going on, where after she wins, this lady drops something in her palm, and it's a gold chip embedded in her hand, and she's like, how did I get this? And so you find out that she gets it, and like this lady and other people don't want her to get the vaccine because something is going on with the company that's been creating it. They've kind of been doing some things that they're not supposed to, or it was just really good. I really did enjoy the dystopian feel. And there's a character in the book who's like working with like a group of thieves, but he's not really. But they threaten him, and they tell him, hey, we'll tell you who your birth mom was if you do this for us. So he ends up meeting her, the swimmer, after she wins, and they end up going around town discovering new things and stuff because she's never been in town. And so he tries to help her along the way, and it's really good. I really did enjoy that one. Definitely, if you like more dystopian, like Hunger Games and stuff like that, I think you would like this book. All right, so the next one that I read was Fragments of Fear by Carrie Stewart Parks, and I gave this one 4 stars. This is, I think, my favorite book of Carrie Stewart Parks so far. I did really enjoy this one. I've talked about this one. I know I talked about it. Did I do a review of this one? I feel like I've talked about this one in another wrap-up. It's weird. But anyway, so this one is about a girl who after the suicide of her fiance, she's trying to get back into her life, and some stranger calls from an animal shelter saying, hey, pick up your dog. We found your name and your address and phone number in a chip in its ear. You better come pick up your dog because we don't know what to do with it. And she's like, I don't have a dog. And they're like, yes, you do. Your name's on his chip. And she's like, I don't have a dog. But she ends up going and picking it up anyways, because she can't just leave a dog, there. So she ends up getting it, and she ends up finding out that he belongs to she belongs to a person that she did a portrait for. And she's like, why is my name in this chip, and what's going on? And so she finds out that there's this really big mystery around the owner, and it's just great. It has to do with like some art things going on, and it was just a great time. Definitely high-paced, and I did enjoy it, so it was fun. And a little bit of romance too. All right, so keep forgetting to put my books up here. Okay, next one that I read was Pretty Little Pieces by Carmen Schober, and I did a whole book review on this, so I will link it down below in the description box as well. But again, this is kind of like a Chip and Joanna Gaines Christian fiction edition. But yeah, so I did really enjoy this one. I gave it 4 stars, I think. Yes, 4 stars. And I just thought it was really cute. The romance was heading a little on the heavy side, but not too bad. So just a little on the heavy side, just in case you're wondering, but like nothing goes beyond kissing. I mean, it's a Christian book, so, but it does get a little heavy. But I think, aside from the Christmas books that I DNF'd, I think everything that I've read so far is Christian fiction. So just so you know, because I keep forgetting to mention that, but yes, so Christian fiction as well. All right, so yes, even White Lilac and all the other ones, all Christian fiction. So I did really enjoy this one. This cover is one of my favorites. It's really pretty. I love that cover. But yeah, so definitely check this one out if you like kind of like those home improvement shows. And it was just definitely fun to see kind of like a book outlook on that and behind the scenes of like what a home improvement show goes through. And there's romance, of course, in it too. So definitely check it out. All right, let's see what was next. Next one that I read was In a Far Off Land by Stephanie Lansom. This one I really enjoyed. I gave it 4 stars, but I think it's closer to 4.5. So this one is a prodigal son retelling, and I really did enjoy it. I thought it was great. So I love that it had that old Hollywood feel about it, and just the fact that she mentions like old actors and actresses that I know of and love because I love old Hollywood movies. So that part really connected with me. And just this girl who leaves her hometown and goes to Hollywood to try to help her family save the farm and be in movies so she could earn the money. But then she ends up getting involved with diamond dance girls and prostitution, unfortunately, until she meets a man who says, I want to help you get into the business, but you're not going to take your clothes off for anyone. So she doesn't, but then she ends up at a Hollywood party and she wakes up next to a dead body. So then she runs away thinking, I have no idea what went on. I don't remember what happened last night. And so it was really good. I definitely enjoyed the characters and everything, and the ending was bittersweet. I liked it. It was cute. But yeah, so the romance in it, definitely a different romance for sure. I really liked it. I loved the old Hollywood feel. Like, I don't know if you can remember the guy who plays in Eureka. It's a sci-fi TV show, but he was like from the 40s and he traveled in time to our time. I'll put his picture here, but I literally picture the main character as him because like he just had a 40s feel, and like this had definitely a dated feel, but in a good way. Like I could imagine myself like in like the early 30s and 40s. So it was really great. Definitely a lot of fun. All right. My pile is getting bigger. All right. I think that's the last one I have physically. I think the rest are, yes, the rest I got on audiobooks. So the next 2 books that I got were On Wings of Devotion and A Portrait of Loyalty. These are book 2 and 3 in Codebreaker series by Rosanna M. White. And I gave the second book 4 stars and the third book 3 stars. So the second book was definitely one of my favorites in the series. Well, it was my favorite. So this whole series follows like these code breakers who are in the business to help break codes during the war, and about the women who are involved with it and the men. And I just really enjoyed the series. So I think I gave the first and third book 3 stars. All right, so the next book that I read was a buddy read with a couple of my friends. I can't remember everybody who read it, but I know that Book Talks with Mrs. Thomas read it. Melanie Gilsby will be reading it. I don't know if she's read it yet. I read it, and a couple friends decided to read it later. But we did kind of read it together, but not really. We kind of read it all at different times. It was kind of funny because I decided to join later. But it was The Spice King by Elizabeth Camden, and this is the first book in a series, and I really liked it. I gave it 4 stars, and I just thought it was a fun time. It was about kind of like this, I think it's like around the 20s, I think, so like early 1900s, but there's this guy who is the Spice King. He owns a spice company, and this girl who works at the museum, in order to keep her jobs, he needs to find like a rare plant. So she goes to him because even though he has really no education, he knows a lot about plants because of his travels in his spice company. And so she goes and he tells her basically, I don't have that plant. She doesn't believe him. She kind of travels around his greenhouse and sees what's going on. And then she ends up going back to work, and her work tells her that somebody sent a message, or something happened in his house or in his workplace that is going to involve him with the enemy and during the war. And so she's like it can't be him. It just can't be, because she starts to like him. She's in love with him now. And so she ends up, she's like, well, I have to keep my job. Like, they're going to fire me if I don't do this. At least that's what she thinks. So she ends up trying to discover who is the enemy agent throughout. And it was really good. I can't wait to read the second book because I have a feeling there's something else going on. So I can't wait to get to the second book. All right, the next book that I read was The Curse of Misty Wayfarer by Jamie Jo Wright. I gave this one 5 stars. I think it might be one of my favorites of hers, if not the favorite. I really, really enjoyed this one. So it does have an asylum in it, and just all of her books are like creepy, but they're not like, I don't think they're like wake up with nightmares creepy. Like, they just have that atmosphere feel to them, and I just love them. They're dual timeline, and if you pick up one of her books, just know they are that little bit of creepy, but they're not super bad. If you want to try one of her books and you don't really like a creepiness, check out On the Cliffs of Foxglove Manor by the author. That, I think, is one of her least creepy ones, at least in my opinion. But I think they're all pretty good. I don't think I've given one under 3 stars. I really enjoy her books. Can't wait to finish the rest of the books that I haven't read by her yet. All right, so the next one that I have is another favorite that's going on next year's favorites already. And this one just took my heart and held it in a box and is never going to let it go, because this book was amazing, and I've heard that the sequel is even better. Like, and that is Laurel's Dream by Paperbacks. I loved it. I loved it so much. So, it's just great. Yes, 100%. So, I actually did think I talked about it in the beginning of this video, but it's really great. I loved it. I loved that it is about this guy who couldn't get in the army, and he ends up in the US and working as a teacher, and just the romance between the two characters was just so great. Now, I will say there's a trigger warning in this one for, I don't think there's that, but I know that there is alcohol and domestic abuse. It's mentioned, but nothing happens in the book, if you know what I mean, because her father, Laurel's father, he comes home drunk during the winter time and pretty much stays that way the entire winter. There's no physical violence mentioned, or like seen. I don't think it's mentioned, but it's kind of implied that it could happen. So just wanted to let you know about that. But other than that, I'm hoping that there's like redemption for him in the second book. I'm praying. But it was really good, and the romance between Laurel and, for some reason, I can't remember his name. I knew that was gonna happen. I'm not great with character names that well, but the main characters, I love both of them so much, and their romance is just the sweetest. And yeah, it's a really, really great romance. I loved it, and I can't wait to read the sequel. The sequel is actually based on his sister, who lives in England, so I cannot wait to see her story, and I'm just so excited. I wish it was more of Laurel and him, honestly, but I'm excited to see his sister too, because his sister I really loved in the first book, even though she was in like this much of the book, but really good. And there's a kissing scene in it that just made my heart flutter in a good way. All right, so definitely pick that one up if you want like a sweet western town romance or wilderness romance. Very cute. Loved it. All right, the next one that I read, we're almost done, and it was Aggie Morton Mystery Queen. I actually probably should have put this in the Christmas books because it is a Christmas book, and it is called Peril at Owl Park. And this one is a series that is based off of Agatha Christie. That's Aggie when she's young, like about 12. And she meets Hector Poirot, which is her friend, and they solve mysteries together. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I think I finished the audiobook too fast. I think I missed a few things at the end there, but I did really enjoy it. It does happen around Christmas time. Has to do with like a troupe of actors that I think her sister's friend hires for Christmas time, and a dead body, of course, pops up. But I did really enjoy it, and I can't wait to read the third book in this series, which hopefully I will soon. All right, and then the last book that I read to kind of bump up my goal to that 350, I did make it, just to let you know, barely. I had to read 5 comic books on Saturday, but I made it. But I read Book Love, and it's by Debbie Tung, I think? Yeah, Debbie Tung. And this is just a book lover's book. It was so cute. And honestly, like, I just want to buy a copy just to have around because it's adorable. So if you're a book lover, check this book out. It just has so many things that relate to us book lovers. Like, there's one scene where she talks about, she gets so excited because she gets a book in the mail, and she opens it up and it's the movie book version, the cover. And she's like, no, I got the wrong one. I didn't want the movie cover. So she goes to the bookstore and she tells the guy, hey, I'd like to exchange this book for this book, which was the original cover. And he goes, but ma'am, you realize that it's a different cover, but it's the same book. And she goes, no, it's not. And that just like resonated so much because, like, as a book lover, it's like, if you love the original book cover, that's the one that you want. You know, like, I love my original book covers, and I think the only one that I'm okay with a movie version is The Princess Bride, which I do have a couple up there. But other than that, I want the original book covers. So it's just a whole bunch of like fun little snippets and comics about a book lover and what we go through, and I just loved it. It was so cute. I gave it 5 stars. So ended on a high note for the month and for the year. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if next month goes as well as this month did, I might have to do a mid-month wrap-up. Because I know you all don't care if I do mid-month or end of the month wrap-ups, but they're getting lengthy, aren't they? So I hope you all have a wonderful day. Let me know what was your favorite book in December or the year. It doesn't matter. My favorite for December, I mean, I've already talked about them. Sisters of Seaview by Julie Klassen and Laurel's Dream by Paperbacks. My 2 favorites, and will be in my list of the tops for 2023 for sure. Alright, so I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you all in the next video.